Hi, everyone. We'll be getting started here in just a moment again. As a reminder, this session will be recorded. We'll have it on the web page as soon as we get through the, reviewing it and uploading it and all of that jazz. I'm going to turn it over to Megan.
Gotta unmute. All right, so there's significantly more people on this call than I expected. Thank you for joining us. I don't have anything in particular prepared. I just wanted this to be kind of an open time for folks to ask questions. And then as some folks ask questions, other folks may be like, oh, I think I had that same question, or Megan already talked to me about that, and I want some more clarification or something like that. So this is your time. There's no agenda. There's no specific items prepared. If you have questions, speak now and feel free to come off mute or put things in the chat, whatever you prefer.
We'll have to individually grant people permission to come off mute. They
Oh,
can't do that
really?
until we permit it.
Okay.
Additionally, if there are not many questions, there are a couple things that we can reiterate from previous webinars or things like that. But really, this is intended for you all to be in the driver's seat, like Megan said. What do you need to know from us? Specifically related to the application, if possible.
I'm going to, I think I can allow everyone
All
to,
right, Forrest is raising his hand, so I'll go ahead and allow his microphone. Forrest, you should be able to come off mute yourself now.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
yes.
Yes.
Great. I probably will have a lot of questions as we go through this, but I'll just start with one to share the load, which is do we have any kind of update or sense of the rental assistance being allowable for nonprofits under the transitional housing application?
We do not. We are working on it. At this time, we don't have any updates.
Is there any kind of best practice out there for partnering with a government agency to do it? As a subrecipient or something to that effect. Just to be blunt, leasing requires FMR and rental assistance allows for rent reasonableness. In our community, we don't have anything that's FMR for families at the family
Yeah.
level. So it's just impossible to find an FMR apartment or in many cases. So it would mean massive declining of eligibility for people in that kind of program if if we went that way, if we went for the leasing dollars for transitional housing.
Yeah. Um, I have thoughts. I don't think we can, so Kristen, do you wanna speak to that?
Well, I have a follow-up that's similar to this, maybe. So if we partnered with a local government entity to do it for us, would they have to be the lead on the grant, or are they able to be a subrecipient to do it for us? Sorry, I'm stumping the experts.
I have a lot of thoughts, but I don't want to speak above my pay grade. I mean, I am always happy to just shoot things out, but
Yeah, I don't know if I can speak, and this may be above my pay grade too. But
right.
I will say, I did attend an event last week with some HUD representatives from Washington. And I believe that they have heard us. all, and not just us, but like across the whole country, COCs, bringing this very issue up to them. I don't know if it's a quick fix, from their perspective, but they've heard us and they are looking into it. And that's about all I can say.
So it's
So,
it's
because it would have to, um, um, take a, rules change, or regulations change in their guidance. And so it may take some time for them to fully answer that question.
so in our applications, does that mean, given it's very unlikely that they would create a rules change between now and submission, does that mean our only option at this point is to submit for leasing? Because once we lock into leasing, we're kind of locked in, right? We can't change it to rental assistance down the road. I'm assuming, like next grant cycle or whatever.
Depending on the size of and this is us speculating wildly, depending on the size of the rule change, if it were to occur, it's possible that there would be additional considerations made for budget amendments, substantial amendments, etc., through a process. It's also possible that it would have to wait until the next grant cycle. And unfortunately, we're not going to have that answer before the July 17th deadline, I expect.
Right.
Will there be
And I would
guidance
say, I mean,
around?
it is not impossible, to do that change afterward. Well, and I say that I have worked with subrecipients going the other way. So going
Mhm.
from rental assistance to leasing.
Sure.
So there is the mechanism is there. But that's one area that I don't think we can give a lot of guidance, until we have something from HUD.
Okay.
Kristen, if we were to, or a government entity in general were to apply using rental assistance and then seek out the subrecipients, um, would that be able to change? Like, I guess it would be the same process. Like, we could theoretically, if we could change from leasing to rental assistance and vice versa, whether or not it's a governmental entity or a subrecipient. I guess my thought process was, it would it almost be safer for those projects that know that may need the option to apply like as a subrecipient of us instead of a direct. I guess we
Yeah.
won't know until
We won't
we know.
know.
I mean, there's a huge advantage from our perspective being the direct recipient of HUD. So that's another question I have for later. So I'll leave that leave that open. It's just a lot easier, to be honest. Uh, but if you could, I know that I've seen some COCs that have put out some guidance, which I haven't looked to in any depth yet, but about rental assistance for transitional housing programs and how to partner with government entities around it. I,
Mhm.
I don't know if you all are researching that or if we need to research it. But I guess that would be helpful to know if you're going to try and come up with some guidance about how to apply for transitional housing with rental assistance, or if we need to do that research.
We're absolutely doing it. Kristen and I and Brendan on our team we're all going to conference next week as well with a lot of other COC partners. I hope that that is something that is readily accessible, as far as discussions. And if it's not, I intend to ask people. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, don't like, don't feel like you can't research, but know that we are working on it. Um, but we don't have any like target time to like put things out or know yet what to put out or even when it will take place.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate your help on that.
This is another reason why we encourage thoughtful consideration before applying for the job form officially before submitting. Like, there's no rush. We have the 17 more days after today before it's due, and we consider constructing as much as you can in anticipation, thinking about it, and allowing us time to try to get some answers on some of these murkier areas. Teresa, you've got your hand raised. You can unmute at your discretion.
Hello. I have a few questions and mine aren't quite as complicated, thank goodness. One of them is I've already asked this, but my brain is not holding on to this information very well. It's very confusing. If we have a THRRH project and we want to apply for a transition grant to make it just a TH project, then how do we manage that budget?
You meet the budget you're submitting with your application.
Correct.
Oh.
Like, I'm just trying to figure out, like, because it's a much bigger grant than what it would wind up being, but we want it to be more than just the current TH portion of the THRRH. So do we just go in like with a brand new budget and do it how we want, or?
Great
So
question.
you're submitting a transition grant application in theory. That budget form on the internal competition webpage is the form you would fill out to like record your budget. And your question for us, just to make sure that we're understanding it correctly, is it appropriate to substantially change from the previous version of this award that was a joint when you make a new transition project application?
Right.
Kristen, can you speak to that one? This is one that I had planned on. So we're meeting as a team with Howard Birchman, our consultant, at 4. Conveniently, many of the questions I'm sure many of you have today are also on my list for that meeting. But Kristen, if you have experience with this, could you talk about, like, I guess I know we don't have experience with transition grants.
Yeah. Theoretically, and again, I think we might want to write this down and ask Howard and then get back with you. But theoretically, a transition grant is a new grant. So a new grant would have the ability to provide a budget that is appropriate to that grant or to that project.
Okay.
This is a great opportunity, and I don't know the specifics of your grant unless I open up the GIW and look at it. But it's a great opportunity to get on FMR if you're on actual rent. It's a great opportunity to increase your supportive services if you don't have the supportive services that you think you need to be able to do this. I have described this as it's a great opportunity to right size your project. You know, a lot of our projects are long-standing projects that have gone through a lot of iterations of changes, and they've gotten a little out of whack. And again, this I think is a great opportunity to kind of bring it back into alignment into what you need it to be in the current environment.
And our understanding is you do or do not have to stay within your current overall dollar amount.
That's a question that we need to ask
Okay.
Howard.
Okay, that's what I thought. It's on the list.
Okay. My next question is for supportive service only projects. A while back, we talked about doing one where we could have someone in our emergency shelter that would provide support to people there regarding finding housing after shelter. And then I have to apologize. I've missed some of these things because there's a lot of craziness beyond just the housing stuff going on. But one of my coworkers said she thought we could not do that because location cannot take place for supportive service only within one of our projects. And so I just want some clarification on how SSO works so I don't apply for something that's not even eligible.
So you're basically asking, can the SSO be tied to a specific building or, I guess, project location? It depends. So the reason we have provided guidance on an SSO can't be tied to a specific project location is because a lot of the questions that we've received are about SSOs serving specific PSH buildings, or I should say PH, permanent housing. If it's a shelter or a drop-in center, that is different from permanent housing. So the SSO can be available to, and it should be clear that it's available to anyone that qualifies. It can be like site-based in the sense that the staff is in that particular place. What we're still waiting on guidance for is, can it be used for people that are housed technically? So it doesn't sound like that's the case in what you're asking.
Okay, I'm considering 2 SSO projects. One would be within the shelter, and then another one would be more of a general public SSO to support any unhoused person. And so is there more likelihood that the second one gets funded if we're trying to choose between, or is it reasonable to just apply for both and see what happens?
Kristen and Jesse can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there would be anything in the type, like those would be equal in the eyes of like our scoring and ranking policy.
Okay, it's just one would be just DV and then the other one would be any person. And I don't know how SSO works because we've never done that. And so not sure where DV funds versus other funds come into play here, but it might make sense just to apply for both and then find out.
Okay. It may make sense because we have the DV bonus and DV projects are prioritized slightly, like they may score slightly differently in that sense, but as far as like the eligibility, it's one versus the other, where there's no specific ranking.
Okay. Then my next question is, if we've decided we are not going to apply to renew or transition grants we currently have, is that something you want to know in advance just so you're aware of funding rather than just find out we didn't get an application in? Or is that helpful to you?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. We want to make sure that you didn't forget something, or we don't want to be calling and being like, please tell me you didn't forget to submit this. And it also helps us know like if reallocations need to happen, things like that. So yeah.
Okay. And then my very last one is, I just watched the webinar that was done, I think, on Friday, and it mentioned a PPR that would be coming out. Those I assume are still not out, or have I missed it?
You should have received it either Friday afternoon or early Monday morning. Is Brendan still on? I think I saw Brendan earlier, or actually probably Jesse.
Yeah, what's the question?
Yep. Yep.
I just haven't seen the PPR and I was looking for it because I just watched the webinar that you did on Friday. So I just now found out about it and wasn't finding it. But if it's been sent out, I'll do a better search and find it.
It
It
came
could,
from CoC Network, so it may have gone to spam.
Okay. Got it.
Sorry.
Additionally, there were a few projects that, depending on which spreadsheet we looked at, weren't linked in the exact same way to the projects based on name out of HMIS. Because HMIS and DV Client Track use a slightly different naming convention historically, it just took us some time to link up some of them. If you don't see them, do reach out and we'll make sure you get it. If
Okay.
we and on our end, we'll double check that the ones we think should go to you were sent.
Okay. That sounds great. And that's all my questions. Thank you.
All right,
Yeah.
thanks, Teresa. Next up is Bob Scott. Bob, you should be able to unmute on your own at your discretion. Bob, if you have something, you'll need to unmute your microphone. We've got you having the permission to do so, but we cannot unmute for you. All right, I'll disable your microphone and re-enable just to make sure, see if that helps there. You are now re-allowed to unmute, and if it can't work, we'll always can recommend leaving the call and joining again, or typing in the chat, and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, sometimes it looks like it's if you have a Google account, sometimes logging in with Google Teams is weird. If there's anybody else that has a question, well, we kind of figured that out on the tech end.
Specifically to prompt with a guided question, have people on this call looked through the application guides? Have they discussed with their organizations or within their organizations the answers to the questions? Do you feel like you have an idea of what projects you are applying as renewals versus as transitions versus strictly new projects? If anybody has any questions about any of those things, how to determine them, all of that, please feel free to raise your hand. We'll call on you and make sure that you have the ability to come off mute. Kelly, go ahead and come off mute at your discretion.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, good afternoon. I just had a question regarding we were doing a renewal for PSH. However, if we wanted to consider an add-on transitional housing, will we do a new application as well for the transitional, and for the PSH, would we do the renewal? Is it two separate applications?
Yes, good question. So we should have, if you would like to apply for both, we have several folks who are planning to do that just in case the PSH doesn't fall into tier one. And if
Mhm.
you're interested in transitioning your current PSH to a transitional housing project, you're still going to use the new project application to do that. There
Mhm.
are there is a question on both applications, both the renewal and the new application, that says basically if if the PSH is ranked in tier one, then you voluntarily rescind your tier two application, and vice versa. So if you're not ranked in tier one, then you voluntarily rescind your tier one or your PSH renewal and move forward with the TH transition project. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does actually. And I'm sure I have additional questions. Also, um, when we did the, I think it was the application or the job, if I have any questions regarding just the application itself, um, do I make an appointment to speak with you directly or just for some clarifications on some things that were on the application?
Yeah, you can reach out to me directly, or you can reach out to CoC Network. I'll type that
Okay.
in the chat too. I would reach out to CoC Network, and then you can feel free to copy me. Um, as you can imagine, my email's just a little crazy, so I'm not quite as quick to respond as our friends on Jesse's team.
I will also say this office hours that we're going to host, we host it right now, and we're hosting another one on the 14th, right before things are due. Both of these office hours are perfect opportunities to bring up application specific questions if you are comfortable with it being discussed as a group.
Mhm,
Because chances are, if there is a question related to the wording, the points, the way that the question should be answered, etc., somebody else
mhm.
probably has a similar question. So,
Okay, that
yeah.
makes sense. All right,
Yep.
great. Um, and also this lastly, I was trying to get an HMIS, but my password is expired. So who do I need to speak to in order to get that going again?
For that, you will submit a help desk ticket.
Okay, that was simple enough. That's all my questions for right now, but thank you.
Thanks. Okay, we got a couple of questions in the chat.
Real quick, want to address Teresa's one of Teresa's lingering. Teresa, Andrea's going to try to resend it to you. She did get an email bounce back on your PPR, project performance report. She's going to send that out again today, and I'm going to make sure she has the right email, or we'll try it from a couple different inboxes or whatever we can do to get it to you.
That makes me concerned. Teresa, I have actually sent you a couple of other emails the last couple of days. Did you receive our GIW emails as well? Let me know if not. I didn't receive any bounce backs, but yeah, if you don't have emails, at least 2 or 3 emails from me in the last couple days. Okay, perfect. Sweet. I was worried. I was like, oh no, did I send it to some other Teresa out there? Okay, so Mary's question, basic question, when we submit, not a basic question, an important question, Mary. Um, when we submit the applications, are we able to download a copy? I think so. Jesse,
There should be a PDF copy download button at the end of the jot form. I'm going to go in right now and double check. We have 2 Jotform accounts, so I had to make sure to swap to the other one. And I know you couldn't do it on the pretest. It had to be enabled, and it was enabled partway through pretest submission. But because of that, because it was pointed out during the pretest, we went into this intending for that to be the way that this is set up. So I will double check for everybody.
and if for some reason it doesn't work or you need it, it's like your tax return. You need to call your tax prep person like a year later and get a copy of it. We have those, like we can do it. So just email us and we can download it for you. Um, that's something we can do in general. Okay, Bob, building a budget for the first time. What is the best timeline? Should I budget for 12 months of staff, knowing that we likely won't hire until award is confirmed? Need time to ramp up. Great question. So the awards will actually be confirmed like long before that they actually begin. So, well, supposedly. Um, there is an asterisk there. HUD surprises us sometimes, but you should know Whether or not you're awarded by December 1st is when Congress asked HUD to announce all of the awards. That said, we can like work with you to set when your award period would start. So it doesn't have to like if the awards are announced on December 1st, that doesn't mean like your award period starts on January 1st. We can work with you to set that up. Kristen, please jump in because I
Yeah,
haven't done that part before.
yeah. So when you have a new project, technically, once the announcement is made, each project has up to 12 months, I believe, to execute their first contract. And that would mean that you lock in on your program start date. That's why the CoC projects have revolving project start dates. It's based on when you start your project. In past years, in normal years, the CoC recognizes that the first year might be a little bumpy in getting started. This is not a normal year, but in the past, um, there's always a ramp up to get to a fully functioning project. So my advice to you would to be to build that project or the budget according to what you need um, at a fully functional project. And then we'll kind of worry about locking you in on when your project start date is, if that makes sense.
As a follow-up to that, we've received a lot of questions on just how do you build the budget, since for folks that haven't done TH before and are trying to budget for TH, what guidance are we able to provide on that, as well as like for SSOs or just for anything in general, any of the new project applications. We've received a lot of requests for more specific guidance on how to build out those budgets. We're working on that. So hopefully we'll have something really soon to get out to you guys. And like award amounts, how to request, how do I know what is my maximum that I can request? What is my minimum? What is like, how do I even, where do I start?
We just got another question in the chat, Megan. A question about the new supportive services only projects. If an organization applies for a $50,000 SSO grant, is the request considered all or nothing? Or if the CoC or HUD can't fund the full amount, is it possible for the project to be partially funded? For example, awarded 30,000 instead of 50,000?
Yeah, I'm gonna kick this one to Kristen because I have ideas. Um,
What are your ideas? Um, um, I would say, and with the caveat that we have not had supportive services only projects for a while. So it's been a while since there's been that carve aside with this. In my experience, it has been if you apply for 50,000, you're more than likely to get that 50,000 as opposed to a lower amount. Um, Again, this year's a little different. I'm not quite sure how HUD will handle all of these. But even if for a project that might straddle tier 1 and tier 2, in the past, it has always been that HUD has funded that project that straddles fully. So again, that's been my experience and what has happened in the past. This is a new year. and a new way of doing things with this NOFO.
It's also important to recognize for anybody who may be unaware or may not have thought about this yet. This particular year, they're really incentivizing new projects, so we expect that we will get more new project applications than we've had in the past, counting those transition grants, counting fully new projects. And it may come to where our ARD is, let's say we were 30,000 shy of being able to submit a project to account for all of our ARD. We may reach out to a partner who was not included on the ranking, whose project was the next one down, who requested 50,000, and see if they would be able to adjust that budget to meet 30,000. So it could potentially be a reduced submission at the CoC stage, not necessarily at the HUD stage. It is possible that the scoring and ranking will not necessarily correlate to the initial full total, depending on unique circumstances.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the opposite. I think we're going to get double our ARD in requests.
Yes.
Yes, I have some thoughts. I have a lot of questions for our group to discuss that for today too. But we'll let you know.
Are there any other questions related to the application, related to your submissions, related to jot form or decisions or shenanigans? Forrest, we're going to go over to you again. You can unmute at your leisure.
Thank you. I know you had talked, and there was it. In the pre-test, it was kind of like maybe, or it wasn't clear, but the idea of applying as a subrecipient of IHCDA versus not, have you made decisions on that? And is there reasoning why that is something that you are asking as a possibility? Like, is there more points for that or something, or is just having done it for a long time, the direct recipient role is pretty useful for us and easy, and it ensures we get the full admin money. And just curious about your take on um, what's going to happen with that ICDA direct partner for new projects thing. Are you requiring that for points or not?
I believe it's a bonus point.
And is that so? Is that a COC thing, or is that
Yeah,
a HUD thing?
no, so that is a CoC thing. So, like CoC, the board, the CoC board voted they didn't want to require it. They wanted to incentivize it. So it's not it's not something that like new projects can still be direct HUD funded. They're just going to score lower by 1 point, I think it is, than projects who are willing to be subrecipients, new projects. And that the idea behind that was primarily because of there's so many changes and so many new things, to be able to kind of have that fail safe. For example, if like going to Sierra's question, if there's an IHCDA SSO project that was just kind of general IHCDA SSO 2026, we'll call it, I don't know. And that project could lump in a lot of the different SSOs that are coming in together. And that would give us more flexibility to, like, especially if there's situations where we don't know yet, like the rental assistance piece. We don't know yet if we're going to be able to use rental assistance versus leasing. Um, if projects need to reallocate funds or do budget modifications, it's a lot easier to do that when they're subrecipients versus projects going directly to HUD to do that.
The second piece of why the board discussed this, or why the Funding and Resources Committee discussed this and then made the recommendation to the board, was with the government shutdown last year. It was easier for continued communication for subrecipients. There was a period of time where some of our direct recipients reported negative feedback about delays in responses, delays in budget modifications, delays in processes and TA. That's not always going to be the case. That's not something that hopefully we can expect. I think we can expect that that won't happen every single year, but in the possibility, it allows us to still potentially provide that necessary TA to our partners. That is absolutely, like Megan said, not to say that you have to be, just an encouragement.
I also want to add in, we do not take any admin except for um, our planning grants and the infrastructure grants. So any of our subrecipients, they have 100% of their admin. So I just wanted to clear the air there.
Yeah, that's helpful. I certainly appreciate that. I think that was certainly one question I had that was of concern. I think the other one is, to be blunt, IHCDA is an organization that's political in nature, and this doesn't refer to any person indirectly, directly. It's just it creates a scenario where political winds go a certain direction. They could uh, create some challenges for the subrecipients of IHCDA, because there might be rules or mandates that are placed on those subrecipients that wouldn't necessarily be placed on direct HUD funded agencies. And I hate to say it, but I just feel more and more like we have to be really careful with the political connections to anything these days, because the rules are,
Yeah.
I mean, even that Senate, that 285 had some rules in it that were concerning, and clearly didn't show that the people put that bill understood it, and understood the process and understood IHEDA's role in the process. And so it's just being honest, that's nerve wracking for me in these times.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Same.
yeah,
I think that's a very valid concern. I'll leave it to, again, I don't want to speak above my pay grade. So,
yeah, yeah.
um,
I don't need you to comment on that. It's just more
yeah.
a noticing that, truthfully, I wish, I don't, maybe I missed it, but I wish that the committee had put out some opportunity for public feedback about their decisions, related to the recommendations. I think there would have been a lot of good feedback that had come to that committee, and that, might not have been, that people might not have thought through, but when you're on the trenches, um, you go, what about this or what about that?
Yeah.
And I wish there was more feedback from that committee before they had made their recommendations to the board.
I will just one quick comment. Um, so there regarding the political wins, please, I'm sure you have all reviewed the NOFO very, very carefully. We are following suit with what HUD is requiring,
Of
right? And
course,
that
yeah,
goes for all of us HUD direct and subrecipients.
yes,
So please, regarding things like the risk index,
yeah,
especially, and things that we can expect in our contract agreements, that's going to apply to all of us regardless. And there's some
absolutely.
really big changes that people need to be aware of regardless.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, I assume I mean, among the things that I assume you're talking about are things like the needle exchange and the gender binary, and, well, those are the two ones that come to the top of my list as I think about that are
It's all in
significant
the
changes.
NOFO.
Yeah,
One other thing that I just every time this comes up, I always feel the need to bring up. There have been discussions on a national level, like different COCs all across the country are talking about the benefits or um, eh, effort that must be put forth when it comes to being unified funding agencies. And there are many COCs espousing the positives of a UFA, and not that our CoC is moving that direction anytime soon, but it is something that has been discussed at conferences, has been discussed at groups, and for anybody unfamiliar, Unified Funding Agency would be all of the projects coming through one singular unified entity. The biggest benefit of that is it affords additional planning money, and that would enable additional support to the CoC network in that capacity.
And it also affords a little bit more flexibility in getting funding transferred between projects quickly, or more quickly than what you have to do now.
And it could significantly increase, like IHCDA's ability, for instance, or another government entity to administer rental assistance over leasing.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I
these
had a
are all
couple.
just
Yeah.
the passive effects. We just wanted to make sure that you knew, like, there's no penalty for not taking it.
Yeah.
There's
Well, there's a point.
only
There's
yeah.
a point. So you could be ranked down. Um, so that is definitely a penalty. Or, I mean, you
It
could
is
consider it a
important.
bonus or a penalty, but it is you're
Yeah,
less
but
likely to
there's a
score as well.
distinction between a point versus a bonus point, just for clarity, for anybody who does not know, because a bonus point does not contribute to the maximum points. So if the maximum total points was 150 and there were 5 bonus points as a possibility, the maximum score for the application is still that 150. So there is still that limitation. That's the separation between a bonus point and a point, is that one contributes towards the maximum total and the other one doesn't. So it's not affecting disproportionately, for clarity.
Just wanted to clarify a couple more brief questions, which I think is more just you're trying to find the answers, and I just want to make sure that that's the case. So the question about whether we can apply for more money in a transition grant, that's a question you're checking with Howard with, right? And then there was the question of eligibility for SSO for serving a housing like a PSH that doesn't have supportive services money, doesn't have a CoC funded tied to it. That was something you're checking on as well, right? Is it, did I say
Yes.
that well? Did I say that well or say that
Yes.
poorly? Um, okay, and the other one was the one I asked last time, which just about the rental assistance for transitional housing. Okay, so those are just TBDs for now.
Sierra had a great question that I wanted to reiterate to everybody. Supportive services only. So they are the same, it's the same eligible costs as in your PSH supportive services or your RRH supportive services, etc. So if you look at the CoC manual at the supportive services eligible costs, those are the same ones that are in there. I don't think the NOFO added or removed any for SSOs. It did change some for, and I don't think any of our rural snowfo folks are on. It changed a little bit for the snowfo people, but I think as far as the snowfo goes, it did not change anything regarding what supportive services are eligible. And just as a reminder, for match, your eligible match expenses, think of them as if you are submitting a claim. You need to have like the same items that are eligible for your grant that you would put on a claim need to be the same items that you're claiming for match. And I think it's just easier to think of it that way. anything that you're submitting to us for match documentation should theoretically be the same thing that you would submit for a claim for that entire match amount. Sierra, please let me know if I did not answer your question.
Just calling out, we are 10 minutes away from the end of this office hours. We do really appreciate the questions being brought up, and we welcome the discussion. We welcome the thoughts. We welcome the feedback. Uh, for everybody who is currently a member of the CoC, I encourage you to discuss at your regional planning council level, to discuss up through committees on the board when you have feedback. You are also welcome, like with Forrest's thoughts, bring them to us, bring them to your regional planning council, bring them to the committees, bring them straight to the board. The board chair's emails on the CoC's website. We absolutely welcome that feedback, even outside of any specific period of time. The last piece I wanted to add to that discussion was just that this particular NOFO, we have been going full speed basically since it was released. So if you feel there was any decision that was made without an opportunity for feedback, I do apologize personally, as well as I know the CoC board doesn't want the membership to feel that way. The CoC board always welcomes feedback, even if you don't know how best to provide that feedback. We encourage you to do so. Positive, negative, neutral. And we at IHCDA take no offense to somebody saying that they think it could go differently or we could do better or they wish that this was different. We understand. We don't take it personally.
We wish it was different too. I wish I
Yep.
had plenty more time to have public, like a hearing, things like that. So, yeah.
And in that same vein, I just want to really also acknowledge Megan for being here. You've seen her on so many of the different webinars and things, but the reason we have scoring and ranking policies out before the competition started or when it started and before it's due is because Megan wanted that transparency for all of you. Megan wanted you to understand exactly what you're being scored or ranked against. And that is an improvement that hasn't necessarily always been the case in our CoC. So we are looking for those improvements. We are looking for the feedback. Just encourage you to let us know how we can help and ask questions.
Thanks, Jesse. Renee, was your cat giving us a thumbs up or was that actually you? Just kidding. If you seriously, I know we've got a little bit of I know we've got just a teeny bit of time left. Feel free to send us emails too. We may end up having another. Ooh, yes, I'm so glad you brought that up. So a question from Liz Green, planning to get the DV service providers together. Yes, I think it would be fruitful for to get all RRH providers together, even if we are not, I don't know when we will get that scheduled. But most of our RRH projects that are having to go through this transition are DV focused. And so I think we need to put our heads together, especially echoing like what Forrest shared and how we can do this better. Nope, I'm saying RRH rapid rehousing.
And
So
for clarity, there are CoC funded
oh
RRH
Yeah.
projects.
I always
Just
forget ESG
clarifying.
RRH too. Yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes, Liz. We're working on it. ESG RRH is not affected by this NOFO. ESG is not affected by this NOFO, I should say. Any level of ESG. Yeah.
We are
Yay,
happy
take a
to
breath.
provide as much clarity as we can,
I love
especially
when
as
I
we
know the
throw
answers to
so much
questions.
around. Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to stay on if you all want to keep looking at my face, but also don't feel like you have to.
Yeah,
Um,
if there are no more questions, take that 3 to 4 minutes back in your day, everybody. And there's the cat.
yes, thank you for sharing.
Oh, very nice.